Now, is everybody a little bit depressed?
Yeah.
Did everybody like it?
Yes. You lied.
There was hope.
You lied, Ed. You said it was hopeless, no hope. The last week he walked off.
Exactly, it was nothing hope.
You big
Yeah, but he was my boy. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. We've got the same hairdresser. Tom.
Yes.
Director.
Yes.
Surname Wadlow. See, it's all fucking up here. I've not got me book now. Why? You had the cast, you had the crew, producers, makeup artists, very talented writer. Why go for bleak rather than kind of upbeat?
Cheaper to make.
It was cheaper to make. We used what we had. We didn't have that much. The budget was tiny. I think, in fact, if you look on a scale of what the budget is, it doesn't even come under budget. Like there's no category for that budget. It's beyond no budget sort of thing. So I think me and Tommy spoke about films that we liked and sort of things that we didn't want to do. I didn't think we could do an all-out action zombie movie, so we tried not to. We knew we had to put some of those bits in there, so we tried to put as much in as we could. But yeah, on the whole, we wanted to keep it kind of a small story on this larger backdrop, and so that's what I think we did.
Cool. Now, Shameer, you were on the screen for 90% of the time. Did it drain you, being that mental for that long? Did it actually affect you? What I'm trying to say is, spending that long acting like that, did it... Were you just being a lesbian? Or did it actually
that's
kind
just
of...
sham.
Drama
You actually
queen.
have to do anything in terms of acting. You just live there for 2 years.
Was it hard? The emotional content was getting into character and all that sort of thing. Obviously we filmed it literally in pieces, like it's not whatever, it's all over the place. Into the hardest moment, obviously you got all the action stuff, but then when it comes to all the emotion, I mean, the crying scene, I mean, Tom and Chris created an atmosphere, obviously there's music in the background. I don't know, how long did that take? We was there for a while.
Yeah.
Just getting into it, and there was a stage where it took a while to get all the tears going, but frustrating for these two guys. The eye that which they wanted the tear to come out wasn't coming out. Everyone else was streaming, and eventually it just trickled out. So yeah, it was just getting into that sort of world of like.
It was kind of a strange shoot though, because the first 6 months of the shoot, because we were doing it like outside of work hours, like we'd start at 6 o'clock in the morning and finish at 9, and then we'd all go off to our jobs, and so we'd have we'd get a couple of scenes done, but it was all in the Scott's house to start with, and it was a really small crew, it was a small set, and so for the longest period of time it just felt like we were in the middle of nowhere and isolated, and there wasn't anybody else, and it was quite bleak. And then later on we introduced more people, but for a good while it was just Sham. He was the only actor.
Was that sexually uncomfortable?
There was a time some of the crew got a little bit too close to him, I think.
Okay, now.
To bring it back into line a bit, it just, because it was very, very focused on you, which I think made it deeper, which brings me quite nicely onto that woman there.
The bitch. It's like
Yeah.
Chrysalis.
Jessica.
I'm
Was
not normally like that. I'm not a bitch. Thanks, writer.
Did you find, was it good to play somebody like that, that kind of, because almost half of the film, the idea of you is kind of more powerful than you actually being there, so there's the flashbacks, but the idea of you is kind of propping up the whole thing, and then when you turn up, I'm not going to use the phrase disappointing, but did you find it good? Or
wonderful as I've been made out to be.
Yeah, did you find that difficult, or?
Well, I didn't really think I'm wonderful anyway, so I sort of just went on with how I am with the way I am as a person. But yeah, I think I am built up as a character to be a spectacular beauty, I think, and just a wonderful person. And obviously, she's quite selfish, I think, more than anything. She
Is that good to
really
play?
Yeah. Let a little bit of selfish side out, yeah.
Cool. Now, Mark and Rachel. It was quite bizarre, the situation you were in, because it was kind of, I suppose, towards the end of the film. It's massive impact on the actual film itself.
Yeah.
So, did it involve a lot less filming, or was it...
Well, it's funny, because I actually applied, cast and started filming within 72 hours. I saw the casting came out because there had originally been someone else in the part who had left the project, and I'd got back from a TV thing and I just saw the casting advert on Twitter, funnily enough, on the Friday. So I emailed them Friday afternoon. Saturday morning got asked for a show, we'll send it over. Sunday morning got told I'd got the part, got sent the scripts, and 5:30 Monday morning got on the train to Derby from London, and yeah, got my lack of makeup done.
Cool.
It
Yeah,
was
and
completely the
started
opposite for me. That was the thing, because I'd always had an image of another Max in my head because I'd met him before and we'd done a read through. And then suddenly I saw on Facebook they were looking for a new Max, and I was like, what's happened? No. And so on the Monday morning, my friend was being an extra that day, and so I had to text her saying, what does this Max guy look like? I have no idea what he's like. So
And it was a terrible disappointment.
yeah. It was great, and so it was really weird. I think we had known each other for about 10 minutes before we started doing this on-camera thing, where there had to be quite a lot of chemistry as well, because my character kind of was a little bit of a thing for him. But I think that was probably, we had 2 days of filming altogether, I think.
Yeah.
And that was it. So it was quite sad, really, because I would have liked to have more of him. But it was, yeah.
Aww.
Ships in the Night. It was a wonderful, albeit brief, experience.
Yeah.
It kind of worked though, because we're meant to be in a maelstrom. You know, a lot of the scenes are quite discombobulating, quite emotive. So the fact that it was quite whirlwind made it kind of helped, especially when you've not really had a chance to prepare your character, which I'm quite anal about anyway usually. Suddenly, it was really good that everything was so fast paced for us. So yeah, it was great fun. Thanks,
Cool.
Rachel.
Chrissa?
Yeah.
Lauren? Nah. Producing the film. Not a massive amount of different sets and stuff, but what were the challenges in actually getting something like this onto the screen that other people are going to take the credit for?
I think because of the because of the low budget, we had to look at how long it was going to take and who was going to commit for that time. Because of course Sham was with us for 2 years pretty much filming and still doing ADR up until not so long ago. So it's a long time for somebody to be committed. So when you're casting, it goes beyond talent. We're not looking for talent, that's why we got Sham. No, we're looking for commitment. And yes, there were 2 particular key characters that had to be recast at the last minute because of the commitment issues. So that for me was a big challenge, because I think you sort of prepare yourself up to that moment, and with everything that else is going around, obviously we're doing our day jobs as well. It gets really frustrating when people let you down or something changes that's massive like that at the last moment. So there was that. I think the sheer volume of people as well towards the end of the shoot. Obviously we did the bulk of just Sham, Chris and Tom on set in his barn for the longest period of time, and then all of a sudden they just exploded, which is when Lauren came on board to help me pull it all together, because obviously we had loads and loads of extras and loads of shooting to do, whether it was outside or on a green screen or whatever, and getting that volume of makeup done and everything else. It was great fun, but I think it was the sheer volume. So it was the low budget and sheer volume of stuff that I had to go into.
So Lauren, were you basically her bodyguard?
Well, yeah, her and Tom basically. I was going to say the words, but they were nice. But yeah, Tom would be like, 4 days, I need 20 people here in a really derelict location.
Cheers, Tom.
And is that as glamorous as you get?
Yeah. And I did most of it in my pyjamas.
Sorry, I was just drifting off there.
No one knows that I did most of my most creative costume, isn't he?
I was just going to see if my missus was up there, but I'm not going to go there anyway. Now, finally, Chris, tell me about your penchant for scrapyards.
Yeah, the scrapyard shoot was quite interesting. First of all, I'd like to say it's not that blown out in real life film. It is quite blown out and liney, so if you do check out the trailer, you'll actually see the proper quality of what I shot. But yeah, because of it being quite a lot of the time, me, Sham and Tom, in the scrapyard, we'd set up a camera on the tripod, hit record, and then me and Tom would have to leg it behind Sham and hold up a green screen in sort of like windiest conditions. It's actually a sail. So we're holding it up, trying to not get blown away, holding it still so that we can key out afterwards. There was quite a few interesting sort of like shoots like that where it was just the three of us and we just got ourselves in the most peculiar situations just because it was the three of us. But you know, with low budget, and I think it turned out quite nicely in the end, and we certainly learned a hell of a lot from doing it like that, instead of having, you know, key this, key that grip person, you know, doing it just sort of like as low-key as possible. You learn so many different skills overall, so yeah, it's been a good journey.
Cool. No, so, sorry, I was just having a nice chat up here. Now, questions. Any questions from any people in the audience?
What's next?
We've just written a sci-fi film, and we're putting that all into place. It's sort of a sci-fi horror. We're talking to quite a few people about funding that one, because I think one of the things we wanted to do with Wasteland was we wanted to prove we could make a film. Whether it's good or not is kind of irrelevant, I think. It's just you can show that you can do it. And we took it to Cannes. We took it around Cannes, and we had about 10 meetings with people over there. We picked up a sales agent as well, which is quite good, because the original idea was we just wanted to make this film. I mean, the two goals we had were to complete it and get it on IMDB, and we'd done that pretty much before. We'd got it on IMDB before we'd finished the film somehow. I don't know how that happened. And now we've pretty much completed it. There's still bits and pieces I want to tweak, but once we'd proved that we can do that, and for the budget that we've done, and actually we've already made back everything that we spent on it. We had a cast and crew screening, and we sold tickets for that, and so we made back what we'd spent on that. So we put this budget in place for the next project that we're taking around to people, especially the people we met in Cannes, and we've got some interesting people involved in that. Ashley Taylor Dawson has agreed to appear in it, and then there's the guy who's going to do the models is the guy who built the Nostromo in Alien, and the girl who's going to do the effects worked on Avatar. So we've got some people in there who've got a bit more cred than what we had before. We only had Sham.
Yeah, picking you up, boy.
So he'd been in EastEnders or something like that. So
really?
Yeah, he's been in a couple of EastEnders and Casualty, and is it Casualty or Holy? I can't remember.
Casualty. Calendar Girls.
Calendar Girls. And
No.
hair in Casualty.
Yeah.
Get a chance to watch Calendar Girls. He's in there with hair. It's really odd.
Fonzie style.
It's disturbing.
It is. Right. So yeah, that's what we're working on next.
Now, briefly, Mr. Draper, at the end, this quiet person at the end, Tommy, wrote that film.
Yeah, sorry.
What are you going to do next?
Lots of different things. I've got some short films in post-production, some in pre-production. I've got feature films in pre-production. I've got enough work for the next year at least, just writing screenplays. So hopefully there'll be a feature film coming out from Poland about 2016, I think, it's down for. That's a big budget.
Is it horrible?
No, it's a drama. I've got to do the way, but I've got a horror film I want to try and write, and hopefully find a producer something next year. I've got to write it first. I've got a backlog of things to write, and not enough time to write them all, so I'm trying to finish on the ones that have got producers involved, directors involved.
But you had some success at Comic-Con?
Yeah, it's a short film at Comic-Con this year, which won Best Best suspense thriller for a short film at Comic-Con San Diego, so that was quite a big deal. So me and the people who made that are living off that for quite a while, and we're trying to... Basically, anyone who said we can make your film more interesting than seeing our screen, we go, we want a Comic-Con, and they'll look at it for us, because it seems to be going a long way. I haven't got a nice trophy, so that's...
Cool.
But yeah, I'm just putting up with what's coming up next.
Sweet.
That's what it's going to be.
Now, any more questions for the oh, we've got one in the middle.
Can I direct this to Tommy?
Hello.
Obviously on the back of Procop.
Yes.
Blog.
Thank you.
This was pretty bleak,
Yeah.
and it was refreshingly non-Hollywood. How did you get into the mindset of being Scott? Was there a place you went to or anything that you drew from in order to get into the mindset to write this?
No, I just looked at my life a lot.
It's all right.
I got married around the same time I was writing this, so honestly...
Living in Derby helps.
Yeah, living in Derby helped, yeah, and rainy days and stuff. And I started thinking everything was important to me, and then what would life be like losing it? That's a simple way, and then the entire film was based around that. So if you just simply strip away all the idea of friends, communication, your loved ones, your family, everything, and then, well, what you're left with? You're left with Wasteland, I guess, where you simply survive, but you don't know why you're doing it. You're just...
Was a lot of it filmed in your garage?
Yes, the main set where Scott lived was our garage. Yeah. So we spent an age, like the windows you see in the background. You can just see through to garage, like my garage shelves and all of that. So we just spent ages cutting those windows out and replacing them with either blown out sky or sky itself. And that took a while. We got all creative and had these nice dolly shots, and then realised that that's going to take us age to tilt the create a digital camera and make sure the perspective is warping and things like that. I mean, you know, like I said, it doesn't even come into a category of no budget. I mean,
no.
So I think we did pretty well considering.
But it's a beautiful thing. So please have your photographs taken with them. Twitter it, Facebook it, let people know that it exists, because it's the kind of film that deserves a lot of recognition. It has been a world premiere today. Hopefully you've enjoyed the experience, despite how bleak it is. I'm looking at you, Tommy. I wouldn't have pointed at you until you asked the fucking answer, to be honest. Big round of applause for the cast and crew of Wasteland, please.